Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be talking about the story of my post-birth. So guys, if you have come here from part 2 of this 3-part video series, hello again, and I'm gonna get right into the story real quickly. But before I do, if you have just tuned in, don't watch this video right now. Make sure you go back and watch part 1 and part 2 and then come back to part 3, just so that you can get a better understanding of this whole story and you know why things happened the way they did. So yeah, let's get started. So a little bit of a recap from part 2. I had just given birth and held my son for the very first time, and things were going magical. I was in my little magical bubble at the time. Everything was perfect and it was just one of the happiest moments of my life. And a few moments later during that day, the doctors came to see me and I was asked to sit up, and that's when things got crazy again. All of a sudden the room started spinning. Everything was going crazy and I remember going super dizzy and just falling back into bed. And yeah, my blood pressure started going really crazy again, and they had to put medication directly in my veins again, and I had 2 of them. So despite having given birth naturally and everything was fine and I could walk, I was then bound to bed because I had medication in both of my arms and I had to be bound to bed. I even got a catheter put in. If you don't know what that is, it's like a bag that will hold your urine because you just can't get out of bed. So it was a bit uncomfortable, even like to hold Leo while he was nursing. I had all these needles inside my arms, and yeah, it was a bit of a hard time, but they did leave me in the birthing suite because my blood pressure was so crazy and I had to be under constant surveillance by the midwives. And that helped us also in the aspect of just having a premature baby with us, because the midwives actually showed us how to care for a premature baby, and we just learned so much in those 3 days that we were there. And yeah, it was a very nice time, but it was also a very tough time. To give you an idea, if I remember well, like my blood pressure, one of the worst readings I ever had was 191/109. I think that's how bad my blood pressure readings were. So yeah, that's why it was very alarming. They were basically scared that I could have a seizure at any time and die, basically. That's why they kept me in hospital for a whole 3 weeks before giving birth, and I ended up staying in hospital for a total of 2 weeks after I gave birth. So just so that my blood pressure could be regulated, and they also needed to see that my son was growing consistently before they cleared him to leave the hospital. Now, one thing I did not mention in part 2 was that even though Leo was a premature baby and he was very tiny, he was born at 1.99 kilos. So he was just like borderline 2 kilos, and that was the magic number. Because when at least in Malta, when a premature baby is 2 kilos or over, they let you keep him with you, like in the maternity ward. Under 2 kilos, they have to take him to the neonatal care unit. So as I mentioned before, I was mentally prepared to have him be taken away from me, because if that was the case, I knew that that's what he needed in order to, you know, to be very well taken care of, and that would have been okay. But the fact that he didn't have to be taken away really helped me. Now, as you can probably guess, I was an emotional wreck. Like, when you're pregnant and you give birth and stuff, your hormones are still all over the place, and having experienced everything that I had already experienced in that past month, and it's all over all of a sudden, it's very emotional. So that was my beginning of having baby blues. Like, I had a bit of postnatal depression, And at the time, I really didn't realize it. I started realizing after I started getting better. But yeah, like it's just what happens and you can't really control it. I've even had friends tell me like, that's so unlikely of you to actually have postnatal depression, but it's not something that you can control. I'm a very happy, jolly person on a normal basis, but when your hormones are all over the place, you don't get to choose what happens to you, and unfortunately that's what happened to me. But I did have a very good support system at the hospital and even at home, and that really helped me get better. So after the first 3 days after giving birth that I was still in my delivery suite, I was finally transferred to the maternity ward, where you get to share a room, sometimes with 2 or 4 other women and their babies. Unfortunately, I was put in a room of 4, and that really broke me. The reason behind it is visiting hours. You would get, you know, my people and like every other woman's family and friends come visit them. And because my hormones were all over the place and I had started with the baby blues and stuff, everything would irritate me. Like I couldn't stand the sound of people. I didn't want to be around people. Like I don't even remember if we actually told people that I think we did tell people that my son was born, but I don't think I publicly said like I didn't want visitors. That was the reality. Like the only visitors I was willing to have at the time were obviously our parents and a few of my close friends. They came. They both have kids of their own, and I was really thankful for their support as well. It really meant a lot. But other than that, at the time, I really didn't want aunties and cousins and friends of friends to come see me because I just wasn't ready for it. And there's no other explanation for it. Like, it's one of those moments where you can't say you're sorry for something you cannot control. And I think they do understand it nowadays, what I was going through back then. But yeah, it was a bit hard, and I couldn't wait to go home. The midwife saw how much I was struggling, and they actually moved me from a room of 4 to a room of 2. And in the time that I was there, I shared my room with 3 different women, because that's how quickly they got sent home, but I was still stuck there because I had to. And yeah, but it was much better than being in a room with 4, because there wasn't all the echo and stuff that would annoy me and everything. And it was just, most of the time it would just be me and my baby and Matt, and it was better. Obviously, having a premature baby and hearing how sensitive and delicate he was, I immediately became a very overprotective mother. And I do feel a bit bad now about it, because I remember I wouldn't even let my own mother and Matt's mother pick him up, like when he was born. You know how people come to the hospital and they just want to hold your baby? I'm sorry, I didn't allow it. And I'm sure it was very hard on them at the time, but they did understand, and I'm so thankful for that. And I slowly warmed up to it, and I would be like, oh, can you bring him for his bath? And that's how I slowly started allowing them to hold him and actually physically be there for him and stuff. But yeah, I even needed time to warm up to other people, welcoming other people like that close, because it was just a hard time I was going through. And it's not that I was upset or mad at my baby or anything like that. It's like, I loved him to death, and I still do until this day. But you know, you can't really help other emotions that just happen. That's what basically depression is. You can't control yourself. But with the help and support of the midwives at the hospital and the understanding and kind love of my family and close friends, I actually managed to slowly overcome this hard period, and I was getting better. My blood pressure was actually showing signs that it was being regulated, and Leah was also showing growth signs, continuous growing signs, and that meant that we got the go-ahead to go home. And we were so thrilled. Like, I just wanted to have my own room, have my own space with my son, and we could, you know, experience the start of our own little family in our own way and our own space, most importantly, because all the time at hospital and I was deprived from my own personal space. That really annoyed me. But anyway, having all the support that I had really helped me overcome my baby blues, my postnatal depression. It didn't happen like over the 2 weeks, like it kept going for a couple of months after we went home and stuff. But I did slowly see signs that I was getting better and stuff. And as soon as I started noticing that I was getting better, that's when I actually understood what I had gone through, that I had baby blues and stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to share this story because if you feel these things and you know it's not your normal self, it's not something that you have to feel guilty about, or it's not something that you have to excuse yourself for. People just have to understand, like, pregnant women go through so much and it's beyond their control. But it's very important that you do have a very strong support system, because that is what is going to help you overcome. And if you do want to share any of your story details with me, please do so in the comment section down below. Sharing your story may help others in a way that you couldn't even imagine. So that's mainly why I wanted to get this off my chest and share it with all of you. And because if me sharing this may help someone out there, then my work here is done. Well guys, this is the end of my entire birth story. I was very happy to actually get to speak to you guys about this, because I haven't had the chance to do this in the past, and I really hope that you enjoyed it with me. After all of that happened, I did continue taking blood pressure medication for about 6 months after I gave birth to Leo. Well, they slowly started decreasing the dose throughout the 6 months until I could go without, and that was also great because I knew I was back to normal again. And yeah, everything was getting better. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this 3-part video and that you enjoyed learning about my birth story. As I said, please write in the comment section down below anything that you would want to share with me and others. And make sure you are subscribed and make sure you hit that notification bell so that you can be notified of my next video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.